Good morning, class. Hope that you are all finding this week's assignments and information um, to be useful. This week we will start with chapter one. Chapter one is the introduction to wellness, fitness, and lifestyle management. We're going to have a discussion due this week, as well as the wellness portfolio at the end. There's been some questions this week regarding the discussion topics. Those are the numbered items at the top of the content under each module. So if you have any questions, you can continue to do that. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by reading you the chapter. However, there are some things that I want to highlight as we go through the chapter. Keeping in mind, as I do highlight these things, these are things that you will see later in the semester, either on a quiz and or on the final themselves. So I'm going to try to give you that little tidbit of information as we start out throughout the semester here together. So chapter one starts out by defining health and wellness and the difference between the two of them. And I think when people look at those two topics, they look at them interchangeably, when in actuality they're not. If you look at the definition of health on page 3, the overall condition of body and mind and the presence or absence of illness or injury. Whereas when we look at wellness, it's optimal health and validity encompassing all dimensions of well-being. So when we look at those two words together, we can see that they're really not the same. But unfortunately, a lot of times people do use them interchangeably. So I want you to focus on the dimensions of wellness. The dimensions of wellness are physical, emotional, intellectual, interpersonal, cultural, spiritual, environmental, financial, and occupational. And if you look on the top of page 3, it gives you a lot of information as far as what falls under those things. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that all of these things are not singular in nature. They all play on each other. So imagine a situation, an unfortunate situation where you maybe have lost your job, or maybe you're being laid off, or maybe you have had hours cut back, or maybe you've been required to take an hourly cutback because maybe you're going back to school. So obviously, that would put a strain on your occupational wellness, which would in turn then put a strain on your financial wellness. When we look at environmental wellness, it does not mean the environment outside, okay? It means our environment around us. So our living environment, our working environment, our friendship environment, okay? So when we look at environmental wellness, having abundant, clean, natural resources is something, sustainable development, recycling when possible, and reducing pollution and waste. That's our personal environment. That's not necessarily the environment outside. Okay, so please make sure that you look over those 9 dimensions and understand them well. Okay. All right. As we continue to go through, it's important to understand what a chronic disease is. Chronic disease, and it's important to also understand what a lifestyle choice is. So a chronic disease is something that you have, or a disease that develops and continues over a long period of time, such as heart disease or cancer. Heart disease could also include high blood pressure, could also include maybe high cholesterol or something like that. Lifestyle choices are things you can control, okay? So whether you smoke, what you eat, your consumption of alcoholic beverages, things like that. Chronic diseases aren't necessarily something that you can control. They might be genetic. So for myself, both my mother and my father, and both of their parents, both had high blood pressure or hypertension. It wasn't a matter of if I got hypertension, it was when I got it. Okay. So those are types of things. So although I have a chronic disease, hypertension, there's nothing I could have done to control that. It doesn't matter what type of shape I'm in. It doesn't matter what my diet is. It doesn't matter, what I do. I'm going to have to take medication to control my hypertension. Okay. So that's important to remember also. One thing that I want to stress to you is the difference between exercise, physical fitness, and physical activity. So physical fitness on page 8 is defined as a set of physical attributes that allows the body to respond or adapt to demands and stresses of physical effort. I think we put too much emphasis on formal exercise. Now, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I think that it's very good. I really do. But I think we also need to look at being physically active, okay, in addition to our exercise routine. So taking myself as an example, I don't have time as a full-time parent who helps coach to kids, teaches online, teaches full-time at a high school. I don't have time to have a formal exercise program, but I am extremely physically active. I walk my dog an hour every day. I push mow my grass. I participate in my children's soccer practices, softball practices, baseball practices, basketball practices, all those different types of practices. Now, if you were going to ask someone, that's not an exercise routine as you would think, but I am physically active. Okay, so I think that that's important to understand. Is it's okay to not necessarily have a full blown. I have to go to the gym every day. I have to do. If that's what you need for your life and that's what you're used to, so be it. But I think there's something to be said for just being physically active. And if you're not physically active or you don't exercise and you don't do those things, at least physical activity is something to start with. Okay. You can start as simple as going for a walk. Okay. And then slowly start to build up. The biggest thing is, and as we go through these weeks together, you will notice a trend in how we start to go through this. And you'll notice that trend has to deal with what's called the FIT principle. Okay, and we'll get into that more as we get into the chapters this week, or this semester, throughout the weeks, and really be able to dive into that a little bit more and see exactly what the FIT program and FIT principle deals with. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to be looking to do throughout our time together is find something through the course that you can kind of say, hey, you know what? I know I need to change this. Okay. There are going to be certain aspects of the course that maybe, you're like, nah, I really don't need to know that. Okay. But, we need to be able to work through this together and be able to do the things that we need to do to get things accomplished. So one of the things that I'm going to challenge you to do is find an area of your fitness, of your health, of your wellness, whatever that might be, and come up with a plan to change that, okay? And come up with a plan that includes short-term and long-term goals, all right? And here's the thing, and when we make goals, it's it's one of those things where we think if we don't make it, we're not going to do it. We were failures. Okay, so a lot of people have a goal. Hey, I want to lose 10 pounds. Let's say today's September 7th. I want to lose 10 pounds by October 31st. Okay, so let's say you would want to do that. Just as an example, safely you could lose 10 pounds by October 31st. But let's say you get to October 31st and you've lost 9. Okay, does that mean that you've failed? Well, you didn't meet your goal, but however, you still lost 9 pounds. Okay, so those are the type of things we need to make sure that our goals are 1, obtainable, 2, reachable, and 3, that they meet the expectations of what we want to do. So let's say you have a goal and you want to reward yourself. So October 31st comes, you step on the scale, you lost 11 pounds. Okay, and let's say you're a movie person and you like to go to the movies. So, maybe your reward to yourself is there's a movie out that you really want to watch, but your goal is say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go see this movie unless I meet my goal of losing 10 pounds by October 31st. Okay. You step on the scale that morning and it's a weekend. Boom. I lost 11 pounds. You're going to the movies that afternoon. All right. Or maybe, you met your goal a week before that, so those are the types of things that you can kind of do to kind of get yourself moving in the right direction a little bit. Make those long-term goals. Maybe your long-term goal is, hey, I want to lose 15 pounds by Christmas. All right. Or, hey, I know I'm getting married next June. I want to lose 30 pounds by June. Okay. All those types of things, again, I'm just using numbers. Okay. So those are the types of things that we can do to try to help ourselves, make a goal, set a reward for that goal, so that you kind of have something to look forward to. If you say, I want to lose 10 pounds by October 31st, and you don't give yourself a reward, and that reward could be, like I said, the movie. For me, that reward would be, hey, I'm taking my family to Texas Roadhouse and we're going to have a steak. So that, keep it kind of personal to yourself. One of the things is, especially if you are trying to find yourself the motivation to get a program started, find someone that can hold you accountable. Okay. It's very easy to say, well, I'm going to start getting up, let's say normally you get up at 7 because you got to be at work by 8, or 6:30, you got to be at work by 8. Say, okay, I'm going to get up at 5:30 and I'm going to exercise for an hour in the morning. Let's just say that you do that. Okay. And you like to run, so you go run. All right. That might last the first day, maybe the second, the third, the fourth, maybe about a week. Saturday comes, you're tired, you've had a hard week of work. Saturday morning comes, that alarm goes off at 5:30, you go click and you turn it off and you go back to bed. Well, if you have a partner or somebody that you're accountable to, maybe you're like, oh, you know what? So-and-so is waiting for me. I got to go out and run with them, and once you start that run, you're ready to go for the day. And it might help jumpstart your day, and it might help you feel a little bit better about yourself. So those are types of things that we can work on when we're going through the things this week. Try to find something in every chapter that we're going to be working at to kind of help you out a little bit. Okay. Your assignment this week is the wellness profile. That is only pages 23 and 24 of the book. Okay. You do not need to do the fitness evaluation. Lifestyle evaluation. If you would like to do that for your own personal well-being, by all means, go ahead. That is not a requirement for the Dropbox this week. Okay. You're only required to do your wellness profile. Okay. All right, guys, I want you to have a great week. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. I would rather you email me 20 times and do it right and submit it and find out that we did it wrong, okay? If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, if we need to discuss something regarding a grade or an assignment or something of a personal nature, it must be done through your hack email, okay? I cannot answer questions of a personal nature or of a private nature from my hack email to yours. Also, remember, tonight is Thursday evening. I'll be running office hours via Google Hangout. All your hack emails are associated with Google, and through the Hangout from 9 to 9:30, I'll be available to answer questions regarding the week. Okay? Thanks, guys. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.